At my wife's grandfather's funeral, her brother pulled me aside. "You're next. We'll bury you in debt and take everything." My wife just smiled. 2 weeks later, I quietly sold my business. Today, they're outside my empty office, screaming into the intercom, "Please answer." It started with a shovel. Not metaphorical, a real one. Leaned up against my office door. A crude message scrawled in marker across the handle. "Start digging." This was the morning after the funeral. But let me back up, because this story didn't begin with the shovel. It began with a smirk. My wife's smirk, and her brother's breath in my ear. We were standing in the family crypt, cold marble, fake lilies, air like a freezer. Her grandfather had passed the week before. The patriarch. Old money. Old grudges. Everyone was in black. Everyone except my wife. She wore red heels. At first, I thought it was an accident. A wardrobe mishap. But when I caught her eye across the pews, she smiled. Crooked. Slow. Like she was in on something I wasn't. After the service, as mourners thinned, her brother, Rick, cornered me near the catering table. I was reaching for bad coffee. He clamped a hand on my shoulder. Gripped too tight. "You're next," he said. I blinked. "Excuse me?" Rick's teeth were bared in something that wasn't a smile. He leaned in so close I smelled the whiskey on his breath. "We're going to bury you in debt," he whispered. "And take everything. The house, the cars, the business. Everything she deserves." I looked toward my wife. Still across the room, still watching me. Still smiling. Not a trace of surprise on her face. I should have known. The signs were there, hidden in bank statements. The way she asked about account passwords, just in case. The odd new friends in her contact list with names like Morgue Consult and Askreddit for you. But we'd been married 5 years. I thought we were solid. No kids by choice, but we had a life. A home. A business. My business. A niche import company I built from the ground up. She always said she was proud of me. Said it every night. Said it when she convinced me to add her name to the company's financial account for emergencies. Said it when she started suggesting new accountants. Said it when I stopped hearing from my old lawyer. And now, standing in that crypt, it all clicked. I was the next corpse. Not in a casket. In court. In debt. In ruins. I didn't go home after the funeral. I didn't even tell her. I drove to the office. Pulled financials. Cross-referenced recent transactions. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the mouse twice. And what I saw. Shell companies. Drained accounts. Loans I never approved. Lines of credit opened in my name with forged signatures. Someone had been busy. My wife. With Rick. With others. A whole web of new advisors. And if they finished what they'd started? In a month, I'd owe 7 figures. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat. Instead, I started selling. Quietly. To the right buyers. One division at a time. One asset at a time. Under radar. No public filings yet. Just friendly agreements. Pre-transfer contracts. I leveraged every connection I'd ever made. Offered discounts that made sharks drool. In 2 weeks, the company was a hollow shell. Liquid cash moved to accounts they couldn't touch. Not in my name. Not even in this country. That's when the shovel showed up. A warning. But too late. Today was the best part. They came for me. Rick. My wife. 2 of their greasy consultants. Pulling up in rented black SUVs, tried to look like muscle. I was watching on the office cameras. Because the office was empty. Everything gutted. Servers gone. Files shredded. Lease terminated. I cleared out at dawn. But I left the intercom on. Just to hear them scream. "Answer. Answer the door. Where the F is he? Open up. We know you're in there." Rick tried the handle. Pounded. Even kicked the glass. My wife. She stood back. Arms crossed. Still smiling. She thought this was a game. She still thinks they can find the money. Find me. But here's the thing. They can't. Because the only thing left in that office now is the shovel. Leaning in the lobby. Propped just where they left it. And the security cameras? Streaming live. Straight to me. To the drive I buried where they'll never look. Edit 1. To the DMs asking why didn't I confront her sooner. I did. Just not with words. Money moves faster than rage. Edit 2. Yes, the accounts are secure. Yes, I have legal coverage. No, they can't claw back what they can't trace. Edit 3. Rick just tried to call my old cell. Left a voicemail. Said if I don't play ball, they'll leak everything. Funny thing is, I want them to. I have the real receipts. Date 1. They came back. Same black SUVs. Same faces. This time, angrier. Sloppier. Rick brought 2 new guys. meatheads in cheap tactical vests like mall cops who flunked out of the academy. I watch from 3 blocks away. My lawyer's office has a perfect line of sight on the building. I sip bad coffee, fingers steady for the first time in weeks. At 9:03 a.m., the intercom lit up. Open the door. We know you're watching. Then my wife's voice calm, cutting. Come home, baby. We can fix this. Fix this. As if I hadn't spent 5 years building a life she'd started tearing down the second the ink dried on our marriage license. Here's what they didn't know. The sale went through. The final division, logistics and distribution, closed at 4:15 p.m. yesterday. Wire transfer confirmed. Funds in an offshore trust under a trustee they can't subpoena without bankrupting themselves on international legal fees. The shell company they thought they'd inherit? Worthless. A legal husk. No assets. No accounts. No credit lines. No staff. The only thing in the office now is that shovel and a copy of the security footage on a loop. They're red-faced screaming. They're threats. Rick kicking the glass like a toddler denied a toy. I'd also made one more move. Hired a forensic accountant. Privately. Quietly. Her name's Veronica. Retired IRS investigator. Sharp as glass. Veronica found everything. Rick's gambling debts. My wife's consulting fees funneled through 6 dummy corporations. A fake trust fund they tried to set up in my name to launder the money. And most delicious of all? They forged my signature on a life insurance policy. $2 million. Beneficiary? My wife. Taken out 6 months ago. 6 months ago. So while they're pounding on my office door, I'm sitting in Veronica's office watching her compile a report that would make an FBI agent salivate. She looks at me over her glasses. They wanted you dead. Matter of fact. No drama. I nod. I know. Why didn't I leave the country? Simple. I want them to sweat. I want them to waste money. To keep coming back to that empty office. To hire lawyers who will start asking the wrong questions and trip legal landmines I planted weeks ago. The police? Already tipped off about the forged documents. Already investigating the insurance fraud. And me? I'm not running. I've already won. But this morning brought a new wrinkle. They followed my lawyer. One of Rick's goons tailed her to a coffee shop. Tried to intimidate her. Bad move. She filed a restraining order within an hour. Her husband's a judge. Now the paper trail starts. Civil, then criminal. I got a text from my wife at 2:27 p.m. Please. Just talk to me. You're scaring me. Scaring her. Not because I'm dangerous. Because I'm quiet. Because I'm not reacting. Because the assets are gone. Because the house they thought they'd inherit? In escrow. Sale closing in 10 days. Buyers? A lovely couple moving from out of state. They wanted to bury me in debt? I buried the debt. Sold it to third-party collectors. Penny on the dollar. The accounts tied to my name? Closed. The ones tied to Rick and my wife's shell corporations? Now owned by people who don't knock politely. Here's the kicker. Rick doesn't know it yet, but one of his consultants? Working for me. I flipped him with cash. Easy when someone's paycheck bounces. He's been feeding me their moves for the last 5 days. Tomorrow? They're planning to ambush me at the old family estate, her grandfather's property. They think I'll show up for some bogus mediation. They even drafted a fake settlement agreement. I won't be there. But my lawyer's investigator will. Camera rolling. Microphones live. And my wife? The last message she'll get from me before the subpoenas land will be simple. Smile wider. The cameras love it. To everyone asking why I'm doing this so coldly, here's why. Because betrayal this deep? You don't answer it with rage. You answer it with strategy. With patience. With precision. With the kind of silence that fills a coffin. And to Rick, if you're reading this, and I know you are because I see which burner accounts hit my site. Start digging. Edit 1. Yes, I'm safe. Yes, I have security. Yes, Veronica is prepping federal reports. Yes, this is going exactly as planned. Edit 2. For the curious, why the shovel? Their sick little inside joke. Bury him. They didn't think I'd turn it literal. Edit 3. One of Rick's goons just tried to breach the office again. Police notified. Trespassing report filed. Every move they make now? Documented. And admissible. Update 2. I didn't think they'd be this stupid. I gave them credit too much, apparently. Thought Rick would realize the tide had turned. That my wife would cut her losses. That they'd retreat, regroup, vanish. But no. They doubled down. Let me walk you through it. Hour by hour. Day 1 to 8 a.m. The mediation at the family estate was supposed to happen. I was nowhere near it. Instead, my investigator, Doug, ex-state trooper with a private license, was parked across the street with a zoom lens and parabolic mic. What did he catch? Rick, my wife, and 2 lawyers, one real, one not. The fake lawyer was an out-of-state guy with no standing here. No license to practice. But he looked the part. They spent an hour pacing the property, practicing lines. Rick wanted me to sign a confession, fabricated financial misconduct to justify seizing my remaining assets. The gall. Day 1 to 12:15 p.m. Doug sends me photos. Rick holding the forged settlement agreement. My wife laughing, champagne glass in hand. The caption Doug sends with the image. These people are idiots. Day 1 to 3 p.m. Their side makes a move. A courier shows up at my old office building with an envelope labeled "Urgent legal notice, respond immediately." Too bad the office lease terminated 2 weeks ago. The building manager, who's firmly on my side, calls me chuckling. "Want to come pick this up? Or should I frame it for you?" I tell him. "Hold it. More fun that way." Day 2 to 9 a.m. Retaliation attempt. Rick tries to file an emergency injunction claiming I fraudulently transferred assets. Court throws it out, lack of standing. He's not a shareholder. Not a creditor. No claim. He looked like a boiled lobster in the hallway when the judge dismissed it. Doug was there. Took photos. Day 2 noon. I get another text from my wife. "We can stop this. Just meet me. No lawyers. Just us. No lawyers." Sure. I ignore it. Day 3 to 6:30 a.m. They finally try to hit me where it hurts. My reputation. Anonymous tips flood my LinkedIn inbox. Fake reviews start popping up on Google. Allegations of fraud, harassment, abuse. All tied to burner accounts. All sloppy. My crisis consultant, yes I have one, was ready. He had a takedown request to Google and LinkedIn within the hour. Trace logs already pulled. 3 burner accounts lead straight back to Rick's gambling buddy. Day 3 to 5 p.m. The best part. Veronica, the forensic accountant, finishes her report. It's a bombshell. 146 pages. Full tracking of embezzlement through Rick's shell companies. Documented proof of forged loan applications. Evidence of the life insurance policy fraud. And cherry on top? Evidence my wife funneled consulting fees to an account in the Cayman Islands under her maiden name. I almost cried when I read it. Not from sadness. From relief. From knowing I was playing chess while they were tossing checkers at the wall. Day 4 to 7:45 a.m. I greenlight the next phase. Veronica hand-delivers sealed packages to State Financial Crimes Unit, FBI White Collar Division, local DA's office, each with a signed cover letter, each with full documentation. Day 4, noon. Doug calls. He's at the old estate again. Rick and my wife are screaming at each other in the driveway. Apparently, news of the failed injunction and word that state investigators are sniffing around finally reached them. Rick punches a mailbox. My wife slaps him. Doug sends me video. I save it. Day 5 this morning. And this is where it gets beautiful. I wake up. Coffee in hand. Check the office cameras. They're back. Rick. My wife. No SUVs this time, a cheap rental sedan. Looking ragged. They're at the empty office door. Intercom lit up again. Rick screaming. Just FING answer. "We know you're watching." My wife sobbing. Please just talk to me." And the kicker? They brought a priest. Some poor old guy standing there, confused, holding a Bible. Trying to stage a reconciliation for the cameras. Probably to use in court later. I damn near spit my coffee. I saved the footage. Posted it, anonymized faces on a private server. Timestamped. Watermarked. Chain of custody intact. For when the investigators come calling. Here's the reality. The house is gone. Closed. New owners move in next week. The business is sold. Cash secure, untouchable. My personal credit? Clean. All fraudulent accounts flagged. Rick and my wife? About to face felony charges. I also learned something new yesterday. The life insurance policy? They backdated medical records. My wife's cousin works at the clinic they used. She's now a whistleblower. Affidavit signed. Turned over to the feds. You want to know how I'm doing? I've never slept better. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. Out of knowing I didn't fall into their trap. That I rebuilt my life while they dug their own graves. And if Rick's reading this, and I know he is because the same IP hit my site again last night. The shovel's still there. Leaning in the lobby. Waiting. Might want to start digging. Edit 1. Lawyers confirm indictments are coming. Could be days. Could be weeks. But they're coming. Edit 2. Yes, I'm safe. Yes, under protection now. They won't touch me. Edit 3. To the dozens of DMs, no, I don't feel bad. Not one bit. This isn't vengeance. It's justice. Update 3. They broke. Finally. I didn't think it would happen this fast, but desperation eats people from the inside out. Day 6 to 4:15 a.m. Woke to 18 missed calls from unknown numbers. Voicemails like this. Please. We can fix this. I swear. Just call me back. You're ruining everything. You think you're safe. We'll fix this if you just talk to us. My wife's voice on most of them. Fraying. Sobbing. Slurring words. Rick. Just screaming. Threats. Incoherent. Day 6 to 9 a.m. Doug reports. Rick drained his gambling accounts. Trying to pay someone under the table to hack my offshore trust. Impossible. My trustee caught wind through their monitoring firm. They flagged suspicious pings. Source traced. Guess where? Rick's personal laptop. His mom's Wi-Fi. You can't make this up. Day 6 noon. I meet Veronica. She smiles like a cat with a fresh mouse. Federal subpoena is in motion. IRS involved now because Rick's consulting income was undeclared. And my wife, her Cayman accounts just triggered a SAR, suspicious activity report. Mandatory under U.S. banking regs. The Treasury is watching now. Day 7 to 3:30 a.m. They hit my apartment building. Security footage shows Rick and another goon trying to force the door. My wife in the hallway screaming at him to stop. Building security calls police. Rick flees. My wife collapses in the stairwell. Day 7 to 4:45 a.m. Doug texts. She's breaking. Day 7 to 7 a.m. My lawyer calls. My wife's lawyer reached out. They want to negotiate. Translation. They know indictments are coming. They want to deal. I say, put it in writing. No calls. No meetings. No private sit-downs. Paper trail or nothing. Day 7 to 11:15 a.m. Doug stakes out my wife's condo. Reports she hasn't left in 24 hours. Empty liquor bottles piling up inside. Rick hasn't been seen since the apartment incident. Day 8 to 9 a.m. Another anonymous burner tip hits my email. You're making a mistake. People are watching you. I laugh. Doug traces the burner. Guess who? Rick's old gambling partner. Same guy who tried to trash my LinkedIn. Now facing obstruction charges. Day 8 noon. I sign one more set of papers. Permanent restraining orders. Against Rick. Against my wife. Against 2 of their consultants. Day 8 to 3 p.m. Court filings hit public record. Fraud. Forgery. Wire fraud. Identity theft. Attempted insurance fraud. For charges already confirmed. More pending. Day 9, today, 8 a.m. They came back. One last time. Rick. My wife. No SUV. No priest. No suits. Just wrecks in human skin. They didn't knock. Didn't shout. They stood outside my old office. Bawling. My wife crumpled against the glass. Rick pacing, wild-eyed. Shouting at traffic. The intercom recorded it all. Her voice breaking. Please. I didn't know he'd go this far. We didn't mean to. We just wanted what was ours. Please, please answer. And the shovel? Still leaning there. Still waiting. Here's the final tally. Company? Liquidated. All funds secure. Personal accounts? Clean. Fully protected. House? Sold. New owners in place. Rick? Facing imminent arrest. My wife? About to lose everything. And me? I leave tomorrow. Plane ticket booked. New city. New identity, professionally speaking. Because this is the only way to finish it. Leave them in the ashes they made. One last thing. I left a message on the office intercom loop. Timed perfectly, as they stood sobbing outside. My voice calm. Clear. Smile wider. The cameras love it. Because this wasn't revenge. It was justice. Served cold. Clean. And final. Edit 1. Leaving tomorrow. We'll post a final update once I land. Edit 2. And for those asking, yes. The shovel stays. Always. Final update. I'm gone. Typed this from a window seat. Altitude 35,000 feet. Clouds below me look like untouched snow. Fitting. Clean. Blank. Exactly what I wanted. Let me take you through the last 72 hours. Because they cracked. Harder than I expected. Faster too. Day 9 evening. Doug sent me one last video from the office cameras. Rick on his knees. My wife pounding the glass. Her voice? Hoarse. Broken. We can fix this. You love me. You can't do this to us. Doug's voice on the comms. They're done. Day 10 to 6 a.m. Veronica calls. Breathless with excitement. Federal agents just picked up Rick. At his mother's house. In his boxers. No bail. Flight risk. Day 10 to 8 a.m. My lawyer calls. Your wife's attorney is begging for a deal. Full immunity for testimony. I say, put it on record. Let the DA decide. Day 10 to 1 p.m. More good news. The life insurance fraud? Slam dunk. Clinic whistleblower's affidavit was ironclad. Medical records tampered. Witness corroboration. Federal case now. Day 10 to 6 p.m. Doug sends one last image. My wife. Being escorted out of her condo. Not arrested yet. Protective custody. She flipped. Cut a deal to give up Rick, the fake lawyer, and 3 others. Day 11, this morning. I woke at dawn. Sun not even up. Apartment packed. Keys left on the counter. Doug drove me to the airport. No words. Just a nod. As I walked through security, phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Voicemail. Please, we didn't mean, just call, you can't leave us like this. Her voice. Thin. Tattered. But I did leave. Epilogue. Betrayal that deep? You can't fix it. You can't untangle it. You can't scrub the bloodstains out of the marble. They wanted to bury me in debt, in ruin, in a grave of their making. Instead, I buried them. In paper trails. In subpoenas. in their own greed. What happens next? Rick? Sitting and holding. DA pressing for indictment. Fake lawyer? Being hunted now, feds involved. My wife? Burned every bridge. Immunity won't save her reputation. Won't stop the civil suits. Won't unfreeze the accounts. And me? Gone. New state. New life. Trust locked. Funds secure. I'm starting over. No bitterness. No rage. Just clarity. One final thought. When they pulled me aside at the funeral, Rick's voice in my ear. You're next. We'll bury you. I believed them. For a second. But here's the truth. You can't bury a man who already learned to dig. And the shovel? Still there. Leaning in that empty office. Waiting. For whoever tries next. Thank you all. For the DMs. The support. The solidarity. This is my last post. I'm moving forward now. Quiet. Clean. Edit 1. If you ever see a shovel where it shouldn't be, pay attention. Goodbye.